Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Entree de Ethereal, the podcast all about the upcoming third-person MOBA, Ethereal Clash of Souls. I'm your host, the Mangoose. Joining me, as always, is the king of conspiracies, the master of mystery, our very own Varys master of whispers, is JellyKnees. How you doing, Jelly?
I am great, Mangoose. The entry, the Ethereal, right? That's what we're calling the show now.
Yeah, that was totally French.
From now on, that's what we're calling it. We're changing the title. Season 2, we're changing it. It's over.
Are we in season 2 now?
No, not yet. Not till the game releases, I figure.
Yeah, that'll be season 2. That'll be season 2 for us.
You know, so another 5 years. No big deal.
This is an alpha podcast. We're in beta right now.
But I'm doing great. Happy to be here. What about you, man?
Excellent. I had a long day. Hopefully that doesn't translate into the show, but we'll see.
No, long shows aren't bad. If we get a long show, we get a long show.
I'm not saying the show will be long. I'm saying I'm going to be low energy, baby.
Oh, no. We'll make sure of that. But so, I mean, the big thing we wanted to talk about, at least first, was we got a message from Kai in their announcements channel for Ethereal that there was no Leah video this week, so we won't be talking about Leah. Not yet. She'll be coming out next week and all of that good stuff. But he basically mentioned that it's kind of taking ownership, kind of like we've talked about a little bit on the show, that delays, there have been delays, that he's going to take the blame for them, and that we're going to have the Leah spotlight. There's not going to be too many things after that other than the occasional community corner. But in the next, I can't remember the exact wording, but in a couple weeks or in several weeks or something, he said, we're going to have the Kickstarter and a gameplay trailer coming out, which to me, and in talking about it with the community, kind of came out to be that we think basically by the end of May at the absolute latest, we'd have a Kickstarter. But what did you think about it, the whole post, Mangoose?
I really liked it. I like them being upfront. I like them taking ownership of the mistakes they made. Just to be clear, Leah is going to be this week, right? Because this comes out on Tuesday. Correct.
So the creator video will be coming out tomorrow from when this airs.
Right. And then Friday we should get our first look at the Sky Slayer. Very exciting stuff. But yeah,
Agreed.
Also really, really excited that they're finally going to be releasing that Kickstarter, because that gameplay trailer is going to come right along with it. I hope that it's actual gameplay and not staged combat like we've seen from the Myth Spotlight so far. Also feels a little weird not to be talking about a Myth Spotlight this week, but
a little bit. Like, we've been doing it for 6 weeks now, talking about the Myth Spotlights each week, and now we're just in like a lull of like, okay, but what now?
Yeah, as you said, it was very refreshing to see them take complete ownership and explain exactly what was going on. My only thing, I don't think they should have said a couple weeks. I don't think they should have given any kind of timeline whatsoever. They should have learned their lesson by now, and obviously they did not.
Yep. And that's, in talking to the community, some of them were like, a few weeks means like the next 2 weeks something's gonna happen. And I was like, no. Like, let me at least try to be the person that dissuades this a little more. And that's why I was like, end of May. I was like, that's giving them a generous like 6-7 weeks. I'll just say the end of May, even though I agree it should be faster than that based on their statement. I just wanted to like push people, be like, let's not get our hopes up quite yet, please.
Yeah. As they say, hope for the best, expect the worst. I think we should always just expect the worst.
Yep,
for a little
bit. But like we've said in the past, under promise, over deliver as often as you possibly can.
If it does come within like 2 or 3 weeks, that'll be great.
Months. Yeah, if you had told us 3 months and then you drop it next week, I'm beyond stoked.
I would be ecstatic.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, I guess. But I'm overall glad to see the post, glad to see them taking ownership. Please do it more often as it's necessary.
They have definitely learned. They've definitely learned their lesson going forward, I think. They're just not quite. They a few more things to learn. But I know this is an Ethereal podcast, but I should have a video out sometime soon. Project Stamina, the ones that do the gigantic resurrection project, they just recently did a stream, and that was just like the most refreshing indie stream I've ever seen. I think Ethereal really needs to look to Project Stamina, maybe buddy up with them a little bit. Like Cademon, who runs Project Stamina, he's like the director. I linked him up with Smokey, and those two kind of talk. I know Owen talks of Smokey. Let's get a triangle of information going here between Project Stamina, Ethereal, and Predecessor. Those being my 3 favorite games. I would love it if those 3 would kind of work hand in hand a little bit more, but Project Stamina definitely has their shit together as far as just business structure and everything. And yeah, that stream, it was just a clinic of how to be completely transparent and honest with your community without being weak. The way, like, they had to make some decisions just when they were making a character. They made a character that was almost exactly like Ash in Overwatch. And then Ash in Overwatch released, and they were like, oh shit, what do we do? So they had to completely go back to the drawing board. And they even talked about that. They said, we talked to Motiga, the company that made Gigantic, and Motiga had the same problem with Overwatch. They had a character that they created that was a lot like Bastion, but they created their character first. But since Overwatch was a more popular game, people compared their character to Bastion. So they actually reached out to Motiga, like, how do we deal with this? And they're like, Motiga told them, if you have a chance right now to go back to the drawing board and redesign that character, do it. So that's what they did. It was just very refreshing. Guys, check out Project Stamina. Like I said, this is an Ethereal podcast, but I can't extol the virtues enough. And I really enjoyed their latest live stream about character creation. But
yeah, from what I watched of that live stream, I completely agree with you that it was a masterclass of how to be transparent, forward, and honest about what's going on without feeling like they're making excuses.
Right.
And it felt really good to hear. It was refreshing, and from an indie studio, no less, incredible. So if any of them are watching this, great job.
And I think a lot of these companies don't want to portray weakness, and if they do it wrong, they will look weak if they're talking about the mistakes that they made and the things that they had to overcome. But if they do it right, it's inclusive. They bring the community in, and everybody understands, and you can move forward from that with a even stronger base. So you can turn weakness into strength if you do it right. So I think Ethereal, Undying is starting to turn the corner there, and they're going to be able to do that going forward. And this latest post was evidence of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Something that I'm going to bring up off the cuff, so Mangoose is going to be a little surprised by this, so I apologize for that. But the website was intermittent this week.
What?
They were not that. Shut up. With them transferring hosting services is I think what was happening. But when it came back up, something I noticed was at the top of the website, they have a little bar that said internal testing. And it said that from the moment the website's been updated.
Right.
About a week ago, that was updated to say internal testing version 0.5. And when the website came back this week, it says internal testing version 1.6. So there's clearly some kind of internal testing and updating being done to Ethereal, which is something I wish they talked about more publicly. It shouldn't take me noticing the little detail in the website to hear that kind of information. But I think it's refreshing to see that there is progress being made behind the scenes.
Do you think that's for the game or for the website, though?
I think it's for the game.
Okay.
From what I was told with that bar when the website first updated, that bar is supposed to signify the game's current patch. So that on the website, you can quickly glance up and see, okay, the game is on patch 1.5 or whatever it's going to be. So that this is their way of denoting current patch notes. And so I truly believe it's for the game.
Okay, right on. Was there anything changed to the website? The last time I tried to pull the website up, I wasn't able to. That was, I think that was today, actually.
I don't believe there's anything different on the website. I haven't done a deep dive on it since it's come back up, though. So it's entirely possible there is, and I just haven't been able to see it.
Well, you are Barry's the master of whisperers, so get the tinfoil task force on it.
Yeah, I'll just send them all. Okay, here we go. We're spreading out. Everybody look for changes. But at the same time, I'm probably the one person on the website that could look at one piece of the website and be like, that's different than it was 2 weeks ago. Like,
yeah, I certainly would be able to.
2 pixels up this way.
Like, I don't look at it that close. I'm like, oh, there's information, and then I move on. Like, you've mentioned that before, the testing phase thing in the top right. Like, even after you mentioned it, I haven't even noticed it. to be true.
That's what I'm here for. That's why we make the good team. I'll dive way too deep into this stuff, and you won't, and it's perfect.
And I try and reel you in a little bit.
Which I'm sure you're gonna have to reel me in a little bit later on in something we're gonna talk about for sure. But what else did we have today, Mangoose?
What else were we going to talk about? Oh yes, the symbols that you released.
Yeah, the symbols that I released. I completely forgot about those too. We've got the roll icons. So the interesting thing about the roll icons, they're fairly basic, right? They're the gold that we've seen from a lot of ethereal stuff. In the majority of cases, they denote very clearly what lane things belong to. But it was interesting to me that the roll icons were actually for the lanes and rather than the role itself. So it wasn't saying that you're playing the carry. It was fire lane, fire, ice, and void. So that doesn't tell us anything. That doesn't give us information of where they think the carries are going to go more than what we've already heard.
Right.
They have the fill slot, which I think is good to have, but when you're not going to have a ranked system in your game early on, I don't know that the fill icon is necessary at the moment. But there's also the Sky Jungle and the regular jungle, which is the first time we've heard something about the Sky Jungle in a while.
Right.
In the map images we've seen, there has been no definitive Sky Jungle that we've seen at all. They haven't talked about it at all. They haven't mentioned it. They haven't done any of those things. But they have a dedicated role icon for it. So that's interesting. I guess I'm curious to see what their plan is if we haven't seen anything about that yet.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen there.
I wonder if it's just generically for Sky Slayers. Like, because
you're saying
they listed how many camps they
jungle.
have. You identified where those camps are.
Mm-hmm.
None of those camps were flying.
Exactly.
Maybe that role is just for Sky Slayers.
That if you're the Sky Jungler by being the Sky Slayer in the jungle.
Right.
Whereas the other jungle role could be a Berserker or a Reaper or Marina.
No, I can see it now. Every time you queue into a game, everybody's going to have that selected. We can't have all Sky Slayers, people.
Why not?
Full
66 Sky Slayer gameplay. Everybody just flies at each other all the time. I love it. Overall, I think the icons are designed well, though.
Yeah, they look good. I mean, the thing with icons, though, especially for lanes, with their icons, you could definitely tell because it's denoting like a fire lane and an ice lane. Void lane, I guess, can be a little confusing, but I know what it is. But like, just any icons in general in any MOBA, I always find weird.
Mm-hmm.
And theirs are no exception. Like, I don't look at jungle and immediately know that that's jungle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's probably the best example of one is a jungle. I would be able to figure it out if I looked at it long enough, but like the other ones, I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, what?
I wish for a lot of MOBAs that when I was picking a role icon, right? If I'm going into a myth selector and I say that I want to play Noxus in the void lane, right? But I'm a new player, so I don't know that Noxus goes into the void lane.
Right.
When I pick void lane, I don't know what that means. I don't know where that is on the map. I don't know what people get played there most often. I don't know what that lane's priorities are going to be. I don't have any of that information. I feel like you can convey that better in role icons more often than a lot of these MOBAs do.
Yeah.
League of Legends is probably one of the few that their role icons are very clearly they show the top lane highlighted. Like, that's where you go.
Yes,
this is very clearly.
And I like that. That's like one of the few things I like about League of Legends.
Their role icons are very straightforward, very clear.
Like, you don't have to be over top of that shit. You just need to be clear and informative right up front.
Yep,
support,
absolutely.
Just be across. Just be across. I don't know why people have to be crazy with support. I mean, we just talked about this, about Fault with Windu, like 3-4 weeks ago?
Did. And the hard thing with Ethereal is looking at the lanes, from what we've seen, if I'm standing in base, I'm playing my first game of Ethereal, and I selected the fire lane. There's no definitive way for me to look out at the map and say, that's the fire lane. Because they don't really have distinct designs from one another.
But you can tell what the fire weather pit is.
That would be the best case you have of determining which lane is fire lane. but you'd have to know that the red icon on your map is the Fire Wyvern.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like if you're going in absolutely blind to the game, you saw some streamer play it. You watched Mangoose on YouTube play Ethereal and you think it's going to be the next biggest game. You jump into game and you don't know anything. It's hard to gain that information from those icons.
Yes,
or from the map they're in.
It is.
But between the two, I wish it was easier to figure out where you were expected to go.
I think they're well designed. They look really cool. I don't think they're informative enough. I don't think they're clear enough.
I agree.
And that's true of
we
most
have them.
MOBAs.
I found them. I released them. This is what secret like deep dives into the website is good for, because I find things like this and can release them.
Oh, Jelly.
Hey man, what can I say? They rickroll me often enough that I deserve something at this point.
That's very true. That's very true. You work your ass off. You work your ass off.
I will remember till the day I die getting rickrolled in binary. That's something that I don't think many people can claim to have had happen to them, and I will probably never forget either.
What else are we talking about tonight, Jelly?
So you have a bunch of these like comparison images from the old versions of the myths.
That's right.
To the new versions. And I guess we can just kind of go down the images you have.
I've got Undyne's baby pictures.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you made that reference the other day. I don't know where we were. But
I was in your Discord, I believe.
Oh, it was incredible. I just died laughing reading that. Like, you're so true. You're like, oh, look at you. You were so cute. Like,
look what you were trying to do with Malaya.
Oh, you were so raunchy either, depending on... Oh, absolutely
look at
incredible.
half-naked Kalia. Oh. But yeah. I mean, we were kind of contrasting and comparing how far they've grown. And you can really see it. We'll pull up the Malaya one right now. Like, she's got an acorn head and big old eyes. And I think she looks good. Like, I like that anime style. But then you look at what she looks like now, and it's so much better. Like, I can't... I liked it. I supported the anime type style, but I can't deny looking at them side by side which one looks better.
For me, it almost hit me like a weird nostalgia feel. Like when you think of like video games in the late 90s, you don't think of their graphics being absolutely terrible. Right? But then you play it again and you're like, oh, no, this is horrible. Like, this is not... That's kind of how I felt a little bit when seeing the Malaya images side by side. In my head, she was like, her outfit had changed.
Right.
But for the most part, she looked the same. And then I saw the image and I was like, oh, no, she was very much different than she is right now. I feel like a lot of these images, I had that same like visceral reaction to like, oh, this is way worse than I thought it was.
Kalia, I mean, I've referenced this before that she looks much better with clothes than without clothes. And you can see here how she looked without the clothes. She looked like a fucking anime lolly girl that...
Yep. She looked like something you'd find on a body pillow.
1,000 years old. Bullshit. She looks like she's 12.
She looks like something you'd find on a body pillow. By the way, Kalia body pillows, UG 10%. We're claiming it now. Okay.
We got him. We got him.
We got Malaya. We got Kalia now.
And let's do Zero. Let's do some Zero body pillows too. They'll be extra big because of the wings.
Rainy's gonna buy all the Zero body pillows.
Okay, so the original Zero actually didn't look that bad. This is when they first started to kind of change over a little bit, and he didn't have a helmet. He's just white hair and white eyes, blue dragon, whatever the fuck. But yeah, he looks pretty good. I think he looks better now, of course, but not that bad. Not that bad.
We could definitely get a skin for Zero, and it may be Zero's skin. We don't know, right? Because we don't know what Zero's first skin is.
Right. Oh no, we do.
It may... What? We do?
Yeah. We saw just a smidge of it in a thumbnail that I did for Owen.
You're right.
A very long time ago.
Yeah, you're right. But they could easily go back and make the helmetless Zero with white hair a skin for him that people would buy in a second. I have no doubt about that.
Oh god, yeah.
But overall, I think Zero is probably the one that has the least changes, but you can still definitely notice what was different and how it got better.
Right. A lot of changes, but the least quality change, I would say. And then as I was doing this, as I was going through doing these contrast and compares, I found something people have been asking for a long time. People are like, I know I've seen this. Where is it? The wolf guy.
The wolf guy.
Finally found the wolf guy. We see a small little bit of him in one of their earlier game load pages, but now I've got the full damn thing. And I'm probably going to make this the thumbnail just to hook people in a little bit.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Who's that? We don't know that guy."
Oh, is this a new character? I mean, it kind of is. It's definitely
He might be. We don't know.
It's definitely a planned myth for Ethereal. So, Jelly, we were talking about Wolfman earlier, and of course, you've got theories.
Big surprise, the guy with the tinfoil task force has an idea about what this guy might be. That's unconventional. I know, big, terrible shock. So, what I explained to Mangoose a little bit earlier is that I think this myth, whoever he is, might be denoting another class in Ethereal, that he may belong to one of the classes, whether it be overseers or maybe even ones that they have planned further out that we don't know about. They've said in the past that they plan to add more classes as the game goes on. It's not just going to stop with the overseers, that there's the potential for there to be more and more classes as the game lives out its life. And when I look at this image, this character doesn't fit the classes for me. Each of the classes kind of have their unique theme from the characters we've seen. The Sky Slayers, of course, have wings, so I'm by no means thinking this guy's going to be a Sky Slayer, unless the wolf tail's going to spin around. We've got tails coming through here, right? That'd be a unique Sky Slayer, let me just tell you now.
Helicopter it in, that's amazing. I love it. Make it happen.
I don't see him being a knight. Just the wolf thing doesn't quite strike me as that knight kind of feel, especially with the two knights we know about being Acheron and Talos. Feel very, for lack of a better way to put it, knightly, to use the word in the definition. I don't see them being clerics. I don't see him being a cleric at all. With the giant sword and the giant wolf, there's no way. I don't see him being an archmage, again, because there's too many physical aspects of that for him to feel magical. The thing you mentioned that he fits, I guess, most into out of the classes we know about is the berserkers. That the wolf may be the berserker part of him, and the guy does all the abilities.
Right.
So that's potential. I'm willing to submit that there's the potential for that as well, especially when we know that someone like Yara is coming, and she's just got a big warhammer that she's going to use, and she's most likely going to be a berserker. So it's possible there, but I'm thinking that this is either an overseer that the wolf is overseeing, and so that's the mechanic of the overseers, their class ability, or that it's some ninth class we haven't heard about that could potentially come some point in the future. I'm not thinking soon by any means, but somewhere down the line, a year, 2 years, whatever it may be.
So I'm thinking, like I said, berserker. Thinking maybe also could possibly be a marksman. You see this a lot in games where werewolf characters they'll be a ranged marksman for a while, then they shift into werewolf form. You see it Greymane with Paragon. There's a character in Mobile Legends that does it. That's pretty much just a copy of Greymane, because every character in Mobile Legends is a copy of something. Paragon as well. I don't know who I was talking to about it. It was either Ruba or RGS Ace. One of them was telling me that there was a wolf character, like a werewolf marksman character, planned for Paragon, where they would start off firing with a gun and then shift into wolf form for melee attacks. So that's what I'm taking, either a marksman or a berserker. I think probably leaning more towards berserker because he has a sword in his human form, and you can't really unless he throws swords. Like they want everything to have
huge,
a purpose.
Great swords, just chucking them down the lane.
He's got a quiver full of swords on his back.
The wolf just hands him one. The wolf carries his swords for him and hands him one every time he throws.
That's the only thing the wolf does. It doesn't play any other part at all. It just hands him swords to throw at people.
And then helicopter tails around. There we go.
It's like, that's my new headcanon. Wow, Eugene, what a waste of a wolf man.
when it comes out, I'm gonna call back to this and be like, I'm really disappointed that the wolf doesn't helicopter tail everywhere and doesn't hand swords to the guy and he just chucks them around.
How terrifying would it be for some guy just whipping swords at you from the sky while a tails type wolf guides him around?
Oh my god, that would be absolutely incredible. I would love every moment of that. And I would never get tired of seeing that happen either. Of the with his hind legs carrying the guy as he helicopter tails around, and off of his shoulders still handing the guy swords that he's throwing while they're flying. Oh, incredible! We're 50% UG. If you use this idea, 50% of proceeds toward this this myth comes to
Skifter
Mangoose.
is watching this right now like this.
Yep, exactly. 100%. If it happens, I'm gonna link this video so fast, it's gonna be ridiculous.
Either that or like, how did they figure it out? There's no fucking way they could have figured out that all the wolf does is hand him swords and fly him around like tails.
That's the JellyKnees specialty right there, of just pulling something out of thin air and being like, this is what it is, and it being right.
Oh god, I was tapped out though. That's all the crazy stuff I could find.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I think overall it's really good to see these kind of updates be done to these characters.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I feel like we may see more of them in the future. I don't know for sure, right? But it's entirely possible that they may feel that some of the ones we already know about, of the 15 we know about, didn't meet their standards, their new standards for whatever those are, and we'll see an update of some kind.
That would be awesome. I mean, we've seen a lot of the other 7, I guess we should call them, and they all look really good.
Mm-hmm.
Grace looks good. Exiel looks really good. They all look good.
Grace is the one that's most interesting to me, that I'm curious to see more of her and what her mech looks like, if it still exists.
Yeah. I hope it does. Anyway, that's all I had on that. You ready to move on to plugs? You ready to close it out for this week or no?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right, cool. What you got to plug, Jelly?
Well, tomorrow, there's a special video coming out on my YouTube channel. I don't know what that could possibly be.
What could it be?
Yeah, I've got no clue. It's Ethereal related, and it's Wednesday, so I don't know. But otherwise, I've been going back through all the spotlights, doing my deep dives on all of them, talking about all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that's it for me. What about you, Mangoose?
Ethereal GG.
Oh, yeah. Now that you mentioned that, tomorrow, in addition to my video, there's a big update happening to the website, Ethereal.gg. Yes, be there. You're going to want to be there for it, because it's huge.
All right, folks. You heard the man. Check out Ethereal GG. Check out JellyKnees' channel tomorrow for some sweet new information. And I hope you all join us as we enter the ether. Yay!
Yay!